Well, this is Standpoint as Nigeria joined the rest of the world to celebrate International Workers' Day on the 1st of May. Concerns are mounting over the worsening conditions faced by workers across the country. Many are grappling with rising inflation, soaring food and transport costs, and stagnant wages that no longer reflect today's economic realities. Despite the federal directive, at least 15 states, including Zamfara, Sokoto, and the FCT, have yet to implement the new minimum wage. Others like Bauchi and Benue have only set up committees with no concrete results. Experts warn that under such conditions of hunger, stress and uncertainty, workers cannot perform at their best. Poor welfare threatens not just productivity, but also family survival, children's education, and mental health. There's also growing criticism of policies such as the removal of fuel subsidy and frequent electricity tariff hikes, which have deepened hardship for millions. Calls are mounting for urgent reforms, including a shift from minimum wage to living wage, stronger labor protections, and real investment in public services like healthcare and transport. Labor leaders are being urged to hold the government accountable with clearer timelines, transparent negotiations, and sustained pressure to protect workers' rights. Former Deputy President of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Amaechi Asoguni, joins me live on Zoom for more on this. Now, thank you so much for joining us at this point. How would you describe the current state of workers' welfare in Nigeria?
Yes, thanks for having me. I will join you to say that the economy of Nigeria is yet to be stabilized, and as such, challenges are inevitable. As we speak now, beyond workers' complaint, the Nigerian economy is in quagmire, and we should also know that May Day, Workers' Day of this nature, allows us to reflect on workers' welfare, on the general standard of living, and most especially the cost of living itself. But I will rate that hope is not lost, but all is not well.
So, can you highlight some of the challenges you think workers are going through right now, and what is most urgently needed?
Challenges of workers, as we speak, is not far from the challenges of ordinary Nigerians. The purchasing power of our currency has dropped drastically, and that is a big challenge. Inflation has eaten up the wage of workers upon receipt, and that has created danger to the economy management. I want to believe that as a country, we have a challenge that we must recognize that fact. The supply chain destruction has affected the economy greatly, and where workers that ordinarily should expect government policy to stabilize the economy to the extent that cost of living become bearable. That is not happening. Workers a year ago collected their wage increment at 70,000, upon which the cost of goods and services is skyrocketed above their wage. As we speak now, you can't talk about the same review because that wage review has its own timeline. But as I speak with you, workers have challenge of purchasing problem. They have challenge of electricity tariff increment. They have challenge of the high cost of communication. They just reviewed their tariff. You can see that virtually all means of livelihood has been increased. And that is a threat to life, it's a threat to workers, because we have continued to say that when workers are not comfortable, the economy itself shrinks. As I speak with you now, the celebration of May Day has given room for workers to express themselves. We have disparities, cases of disparities in the private and public sectors. Wage disparity, where people are complaining being underemployed, when you have workers being employed as casuals, And this has continued to grow in Nigeria. And as a growing economy, or rather a developing economy, we should not be seen going backward. Every effort should be seen moving upward. And that is not happening. And I want to say, workers' complaint as we speak is a threat to our economy. And if nothing is done, this is going to take us backward in ratio, backward in the indices, and as I speak, I will say decline in agricultural produce has also affected the high cost of living in Nigeria, because almost everything we consume now, they are imported. Nigerians that used to feed themselves and they sport is now importing everything. Our youth are lazy, they are not working, and people are not encouraged even by government. So the participation of government in this regard is very low. And if nothing is done, we are suffering just like any other developing country is suffering. But considering the natural resources that we have as a country, we shouldn't be where we are.
All right. So I'll have to correct you there that the youths are hardworking. They are blazing trails that many haven't in a long time. And Nigerian youths are known all over the world to do well. So we cannot say Nigerian youths are lazy. It's just that the facilities in place are not enough to ensure that they reach their highest potential. But for us to say Nigerian youths are lazy is quite a fallacy. But moving back to this issue of workers' welfare now, many states have not implemented the new minimum wage. Is that a concern for you?
Yes, before I answer that, let me also correct, because little thing could also be misinterpreted. I didn't say Nigerian youth are lazy. Nigerian youth have refused to participate in agriculture, and government have also failed to support them, to promoting their participation. So what I'm calling is government should do everything possible to promote activities that will make the environment safe for youth to participate in agriculture. There is money in agriculture.
All right.
Instead of growing the unemployment, youth can go into agriculture with the support of government. I believe they can earn a living and even better wage for that matter.
So that's it.
And when we talk about states that are not complying to the implementation of minimum wage, I tell you, it does not matter the immunity that covers any governor. Crime awaits trial. Because I tell you, there is nothing but violation. Laws are meant to be implemented, and whereby you see state government that are failed to meet this minimum obligation. Minimum wage is the least pay that the worker should be paid in the state. And if any state, like we have pointed out few states that have refused to give honor to this law, I just want to believe and encourage the state workers, especially from the point of leadership, to recruit and ensure that they enforce compliance. Most of these governors will not do the needful if workers fail to take certain steps that are lawful. And I believe the instrument of the law has made provision that where governors or employers of labor refuse to do the needful in terms of compliance to the law, there are other steps that trade union can take lawfully to ensure that governors comply in this regard.
So looking at the minimum wage now, the labor unions have been talking tough. Do you think we should have further talks about an increase on the minimum wage at this time?
Yes, what I advocate is not minimum wage increment, because that is also governed by law. The timeline for salary increment by this act of minimum wage that was just signed require 4 to 5 years. I think four to 5 years.
Yes.
And if that is not complied to, it also means violation on the side of labor. What they can seek for now is wage award. Calling on Mr. President to recognize wage award is a better way of allowing the president to directly share his feeling, share his passion towards workers' contribution to the economy. So, Mr. President, I think avenue of this May Day celebration season is enough to communicate to Nigerian workers. Thank God he has said he will do everything possible towards the improvement of workers' welfare. That, I think, should include wage award. Wage award can be done anytime, any day necessary. And I believe that is what is required of federal government, including other organized labor, other organized employers, to do wage award in such a way that increment can be necessitated by the employer. And when that is done, trade union appreciate it even more than the one that is a product of negotiation.
Okay, now that you've mentioned about wage award, do you think the government is doing quite enough to ensure workers' welfare?
No, the problem with government today is we have to still pay attention to the basic problem of Nigeria. For you to drive, consider electricity, for example. Consider industrialization, for example. So beyond workers' wage is what we are doing to also protect these workers. Because one threat that has continued to suffer workers in the place of work is the threat of redundancy. When workers are told that people at home have not gotten job for years, we know graduates that are still at home after 10 years, they still don't have fine job. So the few that are working, at a point, prefer to earn whatever they earn rather than coming back home. Because government has also failed to pay attention to industrializing this country. Participation of government in the economy provide that they will do everything possible to promote investors that will come into this country with high sense of incentive. Don't forget, this incentive will be temporary. And once they take off, they take over the space. But who can come into this country when they know very well that power is a necessity for any business? And this is what we don't have. This is what we are doing nothing to even have. It's a big threat. So the workers are suffering from the basic infrastructure that is required of a minimum life for any man. And whereby you lack water, you lack every worker provide water for themselves. Every worker almost contribute to maintain their roads. Go to the rural areas. You will know that when we talk about supply chain disruption, definitely the product from the rural area cannot even get to the city for them to even earn the value that those products should attract to them. So this type of problem minimizes our faith that our government mean well in the area of welfare, because you are doing nothing to make the salary useful in the hand of workers. It doesn't matter what you pay a worker. If the economy is not meant to soften the spending, if you don't reduce spending, the cost of living will continue to go high. And one of the ways to reduce spending is government participation through temporary subsidy in a manner that cost of goods will drop, including cooking soup, anything at all that you consume at home. Look at the PMS price that we're almost getting used to buying petrol, few naira less 1,000. If 1,000 becomes the average petrol price in this country, as at the time of wage increment a year ago, it was less than 500 naira. And now we talk about buying fuel at 1,000 per liter, when fuel is a determinant for almost all we consume, including transportation, including medical treatment for our children. So the threat is more than the salary can solve. And that is a big concern. And the government cannot just live on promises, because that will remain theory to the heart of workers, but continue to do things that will appear tangible to average Nigerian.
All right, so let me read out the president, a part of the president's speech to Nigerian workers. He said, "To every Nigerian worker, happy Workers' Day. You are the engine of our economy and the secret to our nation's growth. Our administration has and will continue to prioritize workers' welfare. Together, we will make Nigeria great again." What's your take on this?
Yes, that is a very positive remark or position of a president of a country that means well. But you don't forget that paperwork is different from strategic work that produce results. Some of us have predicted positively, looking at the example and the previous action of the same president when he was a governor. somebody that believes in policy reform, somebody that believes in revenue generation, somebody that believes in production. When I mean production, for you to earn, no country can be prosperous if you are not earning. That is what has weakened our naira. So if the same president that we know that believe in revenue generation is doing nothing to depart from this ready-made income of PMS, crude oil, we are doing nothing to promote agriculture, even though huge sum of money.
Why do you think the president is doing nothing to move us from an oil-dependent nation to a multi-level dependent nation?
We are seeing reasonable numbers of companies, factories closing down in this country.
How many?
And if it's no, the statistics can be conducted anytime. Go to Kano. The number of companies, go to Kaduna, the number of companies that have closed down, they outweigh the ones that are even getting interest to be set up. It's not a news. It's not hidden. The fact is obvious even to the federal government.
Mr. Sugoni, what statistics are you working with?
No, are you contesting? So that Nigerians will also hear me, both of us. Are you contesting?
No, I'm not contesting. You said the statistics are there. We should go to Kano. You mentioned Kano. That's why I asked, what statistics are you working with to prove your points that companies are leaving the country?
I am looking at sector. For example, textile sector.
Okay.
Companies in textile sector, majority of the companies have left Kano, Kaduna on the ground that cost of production is high. And no matter what you try to produce, somebody can import the same goods from China and sell lesser than your price. And they win you in your own country. It doesn't represent locally made goods. And that is a big challenge. So it is discouraging participation of investors. And when you have that signal, Mr. President will be telling us his plan, the fiscal policy that they are doing concerning to address inflation. Let's see, by the grace of God, how it works. Because the last time Mr. President addressed us, he said at the end of the day, the economic variables, the market forces will crash down the price of goods. So some of those things are long-term plan. And when you talk about long-term plan, the policies may take time. But we want to see action plan being reviewed to Nigerians, because it is easy to promise.
Okay, so you want to see, you say, now, sorry to cut you short. You want to see action plan by the president. In what sectors and what kind of plans do you want to, what kind of action do you want the president to take?
We are looking at action plan from Mr. President in the sense that we should be allowing refineries to work. Because the allegation now is that federal government is doing nothing to promote the bring back alive refineries of this country. If we are going to rely on importation, it does not matter the nature and how sweet a promise look like. No, nothing will come to normal soon. If we will rely on importation of goods to the extent that we're floating our naira and dollar is now determining price of goods in this country, it means there is no end to price hike. So one of the things Mr. President will do is to demonstrate sincere position that reflect that a timeline will manifest the commencement of these refineries. When these refineries start working, we will now have effective competition with even the Dangote refinery. How can you have a country that will import petrol, an individual cannot make refinery work for himself, and then we now encourage government to partner with a private-owned company in order to determine price for us? It doesn't work. We have a minimum of 4 refineries in this country. Let's activate them, let them produce for us, and crash down price of petrol so that services and goods will drop, and then make power to work. Allow state to generate power. Let there be competition in terms of power generation. Every state will use that to even drive revenue. And when this is done, it will increase participation of foreigners to invest in our country. It is through investment that unemployment is resolved. And if you don't resolve unemployment, this issue will continue. Issue of high rate of crime, issues of having visionless, teeming Nigerians moving about as if we don't have a country. People are leaving Nigeria for other countries to serve in a lesser job grade. I want to recommend that Mr. President will do everything possible to promote decency in the area of decorating our economy with value. When this is done, refineries will be seen taking off, even though it's not in the full capacity. Do you know that I was in a committee 2019 that promised that these refineries will work that same year? Between 2019 to 2022, it was expected that they will be operating in full capacity. Now we have a country that we don't believe in continuation. A government will come and jettison policies of the previous government. A new policy is established. In a country like Nigeria, we are too big. Nigeria should even practice a working plan that is legitimized. It's like a lawful work plan whereby it doesn't matter your political party. Nigeria will have a destination where we talk about developmental plan of a country. And the National Assembly will make a law. Where do we want to be? Do you know how many committees I have served in this country that tells you of Vision 2025, Vision 2021, Vision 2050, and every government set a vision for the same country and no destination for these visions. We make budget for these visions. This is not how economy that is deliberate to progress, economy that government want to exercise deliberate participation. We cannot fluctuate in this order.
All right. It's been quite an interesting discussion, and Mr. Asugwani, thank you so much for talking to us. The former Deputy President of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Amaechi Asugwani, speaking to us from Delta State. Thank you so much for talking to us at this point and standpoint.
Thank you. You're welcome.